Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Paris and Baz Cast, where we come to you live every Thursday at 3 p.m. to talk about or to discuss topics impacting property management, sales and finance, the three services we provide here at Paris and Baz. Today we're joined by Gavin Coulson from Smoke Alarm Testing Services to talk about the importance of smoke alarm maintenance and the risk and compliance associated with those. Gavin, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So smoke alarms, talking about that from the investment properties. Firstly, a little bit about yourself.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So look, smoke alarm testing services have been established in Australia for 10 years now, and we primarily deal with the maintenance, upkeep and compliance of smoke alarms in your rental property.
Yeah.
So do you want me to go into the sort of what the service entails?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
So essentially, what we do is an annual inspection of the property, where we will come out and inspect the property for alarms that are installed. Are they installed in the correct places? And if they're not, we do so on the spot. The alarms are removed off the ceiling. We test and change the batteries if required. We check that the smoke alarm hasn't expired, and we test it with a decibel reader to make sure that it's sounding at the right decibels. You know, a working smoke alarm sounds at 85 decibels or more, as per our manufacturer's instructions. And so ensuring that that's done, we then provide a statement of compliance to the landlord so that they have proof that their property complies with current legislation.
Right. So you're basically taking the headache away from the landlords, and it's your responsibility.
That's correct. Yeah.
And one annual inspection that was. Every
so we do an annual inspection, and the service actually includes unlimited visits to the property throughout the year for a change of tenancy, or if there's any problem with any of the alarms. So keeping in mind that the landlord's responsibility is to provide a working smoke alarm at the start of each tenancy.
Right.
That's
so
their
the start of
responsibility.
each tenancy and each tenancy.
Which is why we go on the tenancy change with a fresh statement of compliance. So you've got a statement from us saying your property complied at the start of the tenancy.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So the current legislation is that as long as the smoke alarm is working at the beginning of the tenancy, the owner has done their responsibility. But in terms of maintaining that, there's no clear legislation at this point in time which says that who maintained these. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, the landlord is responsible for maintaining the smoke alarm. So if it's not working, if the tenant says to you the smoke alarm's beeping all the time, the landlord must fix and replace it, like any appliance, like the oven or anything else. So they must maintain it if they've been made aware. So if they're aware that the alarm's beeping all the time, something's going wrong, might even be a flat battery. They can call us and we'll come and sort it out straight away.
But a lot of the times, the tenants, if they hear that, they do tend to change the batteries themselves, which is obviously exposing themselves to the risk of not doing it right.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Be compliant, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Want to be compliant, and we've got to remember that as a tenant, smoke alarms are generally installed on the ceiling, or they should be anyway. So, do you want your tenant grabbing a dining chair and standing up and dealing with the smoke alarm, or bringing a ladder in and out of the house? So you do have that issue of, are you putting your tenant at risk by insisting that they get up and change a battery themselves? Same as changing a light globe. Most of them will just do it, but as you know, if they ask you to do it as a landlord, you need to go and change the light globe for them. You can't say you must climb on a chair and do it yourself. So it's the same sort of thing. If you're aware that that the recommendation under the legislation is that the tenant should replace the smoke alarm battery every 12 months. We talk about change of daylight saving, change your battery, all these sorts of things. But how do you know that they've actually done it? And if you've got there's no record, and if you've got a battery-operated smoke alarm and the tenant hasn't changed the battery, do you have a working smoke alarm in your tenancy?
And another point you touched on earlier, 10 years is the lifespan of a smoke alarm. And there's a lot of them that are above the 10-year mark.
Correct. So all smoke alarms have a 10-year expiry date. We've just on 12 years since we saw legislation change in New South Wales. All property in New South Wales where you must have a working smoke alarm on your property. So this is even outside tenanted properties. And so they may still be working, but they're expired. If they're expired, they're not compliant under the current legislation.
So that's a big risk to tenants out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the owners, because if you have a fire and it's found that the smoke alarm didn't operate, someone was injured or worse, and your smoke alarms were expired, a tenant's been in there for 12 months, you definitely didn't provide a working smoke alarm
Yeah.
at the start of the
And
tenancy.
there's no record of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
the insurance company is looking for someone to blame, and
Yeah.
as we know, they're looking for a weakness somewhere.
True. Yeah.
Usually the agent first, because the agent's got easy access to insurance.
Yeah.
That's an easy target, and if the agent can prove that they did their job, well, then it's going to be the landlord. That's what happens.
And there's an example that you said.
Yeah.
There's a case study as well.
Yeah, so a case study that we have become aware of is that a property manager went into a property to do their routine inspection, found that the smoke alarm's battery needed to be replaced, asked the tenant to do that. Tenant said, yes, I'll look into it. But by the time that they actually did, in between there was a fire and they actually lost their child. And that's happened just recently, or because there wasn't a particular procedure that was followed by a professional to come out to test to see that these were working smoke alarms. So a lot of the times when properties are being renovated or built, owners do tend to go for a cheaper option. So can you explain to us a bit of difference about with the ionisation method and the photoelectric product that's out there and how that varies?
Yeah, sure. Well, there's approximately 96 smoke alarms approved for use in New South Wales at the moment.
Yep.
And they can be either ionisation or photoelectric.
Yep.
I think anyone you talk to really will recommend a photoelectric smoke alarm. Certainly Fire and Safety New South Wales does.
Yep.
The ionisation there's a couple of ways you can tell. One, it has a little radioactive symbol on it because it contains a small trace amount of radioactive material.
Yep.
And the ionisation, to make it simple without getting into all the technical bits and pieces, is that we say it tends to smell smoke. So it has a sensor in there that smells a change in the air or notices a change in the air.
Yep.
And they're very good at detecting rapidly burning fires. So a house that's totally on fire, they're very quick at picking that up.
Yeah.
Not so good at detecting a little bit of smoke from a slow smouldering fire. So a curtain that's blown over the heater and it's just starting to smoulder, or as we're seeing these days, a mobile phone charger that's starting to melt the plastic.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. They've been shown to take 14 to 20 minutes to detect that type of fire.
Yeah, that's the ionisation.
Ionisation against a photoelectric, which we use, which has been shown to pick it up within sort of 90 seconds to 2 minutes.
Wow.
So the photoelectric has two sensors. It literally is seeing the air between the sensors, and when it sees a change in that air, it sounds. That's basically how it works.
Yeah.
They're less affected by steam from the shower, a little bit of smoke from your toaster, humidity, changes in temperature.
Yeah.
All those sorts of natural dust, insects, those sort of things. They have much less effect on a photoelectric smoke alarm.
And what is the requirements for the area? Is that one smoke alarm per level? So if it's a 2-storey property, it is per level? Or
in New South Wales, you need to have a smoke alarm installed at the entrance to each set of bedrooms, essentially, or they say egress, at the egress point to each set of bedrooms. So if you've got a hallway with 3 bedrooms on it, that must have a smoke alarm in the hallway. If you have another room with a bedroom off it, there must be another one at the entrance to that bedroom. Or if there is no hallway, it needs to be installed in the area between the main living area and the bedroom.
Right.
So it's pretty basic recommendations at the moment in New South Wales.
Yep, and chain connected, so if one sounds, the other sounds. I think that's another one.
Not at
No,
the moment.
okay.
No, so that's the upper end of smoke alarm legislation in Queensland by 2022. If you've got an investment property in Queensland, you will need to have a smoke alarm installed in every bedroom.
Right. Wow.
The entrance to every set of bedrooms on every level.
Yep.
So if you've got a typical Queenslander with 2 levels, you've got a garage and maybe a room downstairs, that's 1 alarm, 4 bedrooms, 4 alarms, 2 hallways going to them, 2 more alarms. They must all be connected. They must all talk to each other. So one goes off, they all go off.
Yeah, okay.
They also must have either a lithium iodide battery, so it's a battery like your mobile phone. So that's a 10-year battery, non-changeable.
Yep.
Or be hardwired.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
So that's sort of where it could end up. Not on the horizon in New South Wales, as far as we know.
Yeah.
And what percentage would you say are non-compliant at this stage?
Yeah, well, if we were to take on a new rent roll, for example, 500 properties or something like that, we do find 40 to 60% of them either have non-working or expired smoke alarms.
Wow. I mean, we just had a property we were just discussing that was built about 6 months ago that when it went through, it didn't comply. So it needed to be changed. So obviously there's a cheaper end or a different model that's been installed there that's not compliant.
Yeah.
So that's been changed recently. And what are the differences in the strata building? So those that own investment properties as units, what is the difference in there?
Yeah, so really common for us to hear, I don't need your service because it's a strata building and Strata look after it.
Yep.
So the thing to understand is the strata managers have a responsibility to provide what's called a fire safety inspection annually
Yep.
to the local council, and they're regulated by the local council. So that deals with things like exit signs, fire extinguishers, fire hoses, those sorts of things.
Yep.
They don't actually deal with smoke alarms generally in property. And depending on the council regulations, depends on how many internal inspections, this is internally inside the unit, they need to do.
Yeah.
So, in this area, this Hills Shire, I believe it's around about 32% of properties need to be inspected internally. So if you've got 10 units, they've only got to get inside 3 and they can call the building compliant. As per local council fire regulations.
Yep.
So the question is, the landlord is, how do you prove you provided a working smoke alarm at the start of the tenancy? Because the strata gives you no proof that they've done this inspection. It's not shared to the owners, nor can you get a copy of it. And secondly, how do you prove they were in your unit? Yours was one of the ones that was internally inspected. It probably wasn't if it's tenanted, because the simple fact is, in a building of 10, there's 2 or 3 people that probably live there. There's the lady that puts the bins out, and there's the guy that meets the gardener every week. Those guys are home and they let them in. So there's 2. They just got to get through 1 more. So it's pretty common that your unit hasn't been inspected internally. How do you prove you had a working smoke alarm? So it really all comes back to, as a landlord, what proof do you have? If someone's injured, how are you going to prove that it wasn't your fault?
There's a question we've got from Vikas. For a freestanding house, what are the service charges for annual checkups and replacement of batteries? So, let's talk about your service and what that involves.
Yeah, so our service is an annual service, so it's $99 a year. And so we'll come out, as I said before, come out and inspect the property, make sure it has the right amount of smoke alarms, remove them, clean them, test them and replace them, and change the batteries if it's a battery operated alarm. It also includes an unlimited visits to the property for the following 12 months. So if you have a change of tenancy, for example, tenant changes, will come out again, issue a new statement of compliance. So you've got a fresh statement at the start of the tenancy. We'll also come out and deal with you've got a beeping alarm for some reason. Very uncommon with the alarms that we use, but can happen. We'll come and inspect it and change it if required.
That's pretty genuine. $99 and no brainer, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
And what does it normally cover? So the fact that you come out and change it over with a new, a compliant smoke alarm?
Yeah, that's right. So we do have a smoke alarm charge, whether it be a 9-volt or a 240 volt. And depending on where you're located, but if we talk about New South Wales, they're $25 and $50 installed with a 10-year extended warranty.
And this is
so once you've done them, that's in addition to the $99.
Okay, so the $99 is to maintain, to make sure they're working. But if you're actually installing a new one or replacing a non-working one, that's an additional cost, is it?
It is, yeah. So you're talking about a $25 charge for a 9-volt alarm that retails, I think, at about $38. So we're still providing them well below cost, and there's no installation charge in addition. The key thing with us is that we're using, at the moment, we use a European-made alarm. So there's 96 alarms approved in New South Wales. 1 is made outside of China. I don't wish to offend anyone with that, but the reality is the Brooks alarms that we use at the moment have a failure rate of less than 0.001%. So they're tested 3 times at the factory. So basically, if they don't work, they don't leave the factory. It's that's what it comes down to. So in an area like this, this Hills district where you've got a lot of new homes, you're not getting a Brooks alarm installed with a new project type home. You're getting one of the cheaper models that you can buy in Bunnings for $6 or $7. And they just don't last 10 years. So they have a 10-year expiry, but they won't work for 10 years, almost guaranteed. So we just made a decision to offer the very best product because we're talking about protecting people's lives. We've got plenty of competitors that use a different type of product and they will install them for free. It's just a decision. I want to have the best thing in. Hence why we offer a 10-year extended warranty. So once you've got working smoke alarms from us in your property, you're covered for the expiry date.
So once you've spent the $25,
that's it.
That's it for 10 years. There you go.
And so you could say, well, there are some suppliers in the market that will provide a smoke alarm free of charge, and there is. and if it breaks, they just go put a new one in.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
But what happens in that time between when it stops working, or it's beeping every time the tenant has toast in the toaster,
Yeah.
they stick it in the kitchen drawer until you come and do your next routine inspection. You say, where's the smoke alarm?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's been beeping, it's in the kitchen drawer. What happens in that period if there's a fire and someone dies or is badly injured? And the tenant says, oh, yeah, well, it was beeping, I put it in the drawer. Or worse, the tenant can't actually tell you anymore that it is in the drawer. The fire guys find it.
Yeah. Because majority of the times when a lot of, there you go, there's something else. Show the number. Yes, we will do the cars. We'll provide you the contact details as well. So what I was saying is a majority of the times when tenants are cooking and it's setting off the alarm, they normally either disconnect it or try to tamper with it, which legally you're not supposed to do that. But with these particular model, like how sensitive are they for normal cooking, for example?
Yeah, so the one thing from our high level of smoke alarm, so this can't be said for all smoke alarms in the market, and they're all a little bit different. Yep. So the first thing is photoelectric, less sensitive to steam from the shower. The two things are steam from the shower, big change in temperature. So, there's parts of the country, particularly where we have 40 degrees and 15 degrees overnight type of thing. And insects is the other thing. So photoelectric are less sensitive to those. Pretty much the more you spend on your smoke alarm, the less it's going to be affected by those sorts of things. That's pretty much as true as it gets. And it's because they do things like, much finer insect mesh and things like that to stop bugs getting in there. Because, if you look at the typical smoke alarm, it's like a block of units for insects, right? It's got lots of little slots, and it's a great place to go and build a nest or something like that. Which is why they need to be removed and cleaned and checked, not just push the button.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for that. So just to recap, so the current legislation or what the current requirement is from a landlord's perspective, at the beginning of each tenancy, a working smoke alarm needs to be provided. And what we do, and we do encourage all of our landlords that we have on our portfolio to take on professional services of your company to ensure that that risk of making sure that it is compliant is with a professional and not with yourself. So you don't want to take that sort of risk there. And we do have a special offer for this month, for the month of June. Anyone that brings to us their property for management, we will include 1 year's free worth of testing and compliance through their company as well. So that's something to take. Through our agency, so do get in touch with us. We do offer, as we've mentioned, property management services as well as sales and finance, so get in touch with us for that. Thank you so much for your time. Is there any other final words before we go? We'll definitely put in your contact details as well. But
no, that's all I would say. I think that the main thing to understand is that whether it be your investment or your family home, testing your smoke alarms every year, make sure your batteries are replaced and that they're cleaned and haven't expired.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your attention. We'll see you guys next week. We've got the whole month of June planned, so stay tuned on our business page. We have promoted the upcoming events as well, so keep a lookout for that, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next Thursday at 3 p.m. Thanks.